I found out on a Tuesday. I remember the exact day because my mother had just been moved to hospice care the Friday before, and I was sitting in the hospital cafeteria trying to eat a sandwich I couldn't taste when my phone buzzed with an alert from our business bank account, a transfer, $43,000, to an account I didn't recognize. I stared at it for a long time, long enough that a nurse walked over and asked if I was all right. I told her I was fine. I wasn't fine. To understand what happened, you need to understand what Marcus and I built together. We met in 2019 at a marketing conference in Austin. He was charming, funny, obsessively driven, the kind of person who made you feel like you were standing next to a fire. I was cautious, methodical, good with numbers. Everyone said we were a perfect team. We started our digital agency with $40,000 between us. By 2022, we were doing $1.8 million in annual revenue. We had 14 clients, 6 employees, and I genuinely considered Marcus one of my closest friends. Then my mother got sick. Stage 4, pancreatic cancer, November 2022. The doctors gave her 6 months. I sat Marcus down, explained the situation, and told him I needed to step back from day-to-day operations. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, "I've got this. You go take care of your mom. I'll hold everything together." I believed him. For 7 months, I was essentially absent. I would check in maybe twice a week. Marcus would give me status reports. Everything seemed stable. The numbers he showed me looked fine, and I was so consumed by watching my mother disappear that I didn't have the bandwidth to dig deeper. My mother passed in June 2023. I took 2 weeks to grieve. Then I came back. I remember the first day I sat down to go through the real financials. Not the summaries Marcus had been sending me, but the actual bank statements, the invoices, the vendor records. I thought I was just catching up. 3 hours in, I found the first one, a vendor payment to a company called Meridian Solutions, LLC, for $28,000. I didn't recognize the vendor. I searched our client files, nothing. I searched our expense records, nothing. So I looked up Meridian Solutions, LLC, in the State Business Registry. It was incorporated 4 months earlier. The registered agent? Marcus's home address. I kept reading. There were 11 payments to Meridian Solutions over 7 months. The total was $180,400. I sat very still at my desk for a very long time. Then I opened a new spreadsheet and started documenting everything. I didn't call Marcus. I didn't confront him. I didn't tell anyone. I had learned something from watching my mother fight. She never wasted energy on screaming. She was precise. She was focused. And when she had something to say, it mattered. I spent the next 3 weeks building a case. Every transaction, every date, every wire transfer. I found our attorney's number, made an appointment, and walked in with a 22-page document. What I learned in that meeting changed everything, because what Marcus had done wasn't just theft from a shared company. It met the legal threshold for criminal fraud. My attorney sent a letter to Marcus giving him 7 days to respond and offering a private resolution option. Full restitution plus interest, or we go to the police. Marcus called me in a panic. He was crying within 2 minutes. He said he'd made a mistake, that he'd intended to pay it back, that his personal finances had been catastrophic, and he'd panicked. I listened to all of it. Then I said, "I'm going to need full repayment and certified funds within 14 days, a signed confession, and your resignation from the company with a full transfer of your equity stake. If any one of those things doesn't happen, I file the criminal complaint Friday morning." He went quiet for a long time. "You'd really do that to me?" he said. I thought about my mother, about the 7 months I wasn't there, about the summaries he'd sent me while I was sitting in hospital waiting rooms, about how he'd held the door open for me at her funeral. "Yes," I said, "I would." He paid every dollar. He signed. He resigned. I relaunched the agency 2 months later under a new name. Same clients and they all stayed, same employees, just me. Last month, we crossed $2.1 million in revenue, our highest quarter ever. Marcus, I recently learned, is working in sales at a mid-sized software company. He took a $60,000 pay cut from what he was earning at our agency. I don't feel good about what happened. I want to be clear about that. Betrayal doesn't feel like victory, even when you win. It leaves a specific kind of scar that doesn't fully heal. But I do feel something when I sign our quarterly reports alone. Something quiet and solid, the way the ground feels after a long storm. If you've ever had someone take advantage of you during the worst moment of your life, I want to hear your story. Drop it in the comments. Because you're not alone, and I read every single one. In the next video, I'm going to tell you about my marriage and what I discovered when I started actually paying attention to our finances. You'll want to hear it.